And Mr. Fakude, thanks for your time. Firstly, let's begin with the rationality around the reopening of schools on the 6th. It's a provisional date, but does it make sense to you with the winter months just ahead?
Well, first, let me greet you, Xolani, and let me greet the viewers of NCA as well. In actual fact, it doesn't. That is why we are quite perplexed, and we have made our views vehemently clear as well by the DG's presentation, even pronouncing some of those days provisionally. Our concern, Xolani, and we are correct, is that when you look into the conditions as set out by Alert 4, as the President said, it does not even give space for the reopening of public spaces such as schools. And we are correct again that we are still approaching the peak of the winter season. So it is just unthinkable that we can even consider going back to class. So our union, or rather our position, is that under no circumstances we will allow for the reopening of schools, especially under the conditions set out by Alert 4, until those conditions that we've set out on the table are met and satisfactory so.
If the Minister of Basic Education forces matters today, if indeed the briefing does go ahead, what do you do, or what do you tell your members? Are you going to tell them to simply stay at home?
Well, what we're definitely going to tell our members is that they've got a right to protect their right to life, and they've got a right to a safe working environment. And our position to our members, which already in any case they've already given us the mandate, is that until we are sure as their union that indeed the conditions are are safe to go back to school, only under those conditions will go back. So our position will be very clear, because our members are clear that under these conditions of Alert 4, we will not be available to go back to class.
Yeah, let's talk about the social distancing measures if indeed the schools are reopened next week. Starting from the scholar transport, when that pupil enters the vehicle, the number of pupils that will be in that car, who will manage that, who will monitor that, then all the way into the overcrowded classrooms. Have you been given some kind of a plan as to how these critical measures are going to be monitored?
And that is exactly our concern, Xolani, and that is why we have been very vehement in saying that it is not good enough to just import models from Taiwan, Singapore, and Denmark, whereas in South Africa we're dealing with a huge level of inequalities. For instance, in South Africa, our average class size is still unhealthy. We are still talking of educators who face 75 to 80 learners in a class. How then do we even talk of a 1.5 meter? By the way, the WHO seems to be even talking of 2 meters right now. How then do we even talk of that in such conditions? So we are saying that, and again, the transport concerns, that then what happens when learners are being transported to and from school. Those are all the concerns that we have tabled before the Department of Basic Education. And we are saying that until a position whereby we can come back and collectively reassess the situation and check the state of readiness, only then will we be prepared to go to school. And that is exactly our concern as a union, that right now the department is beginning to operate not in good faith, and they are no longer taking all the important stakeholders on board as we expect them to do.
Yeah, final question to you, Mr. Fakude. The DG presenting that plan before members of parliament yesterday made mention of bringing back retired teachers. Now, does that even make sense to you, given the vulnerability of older people to this virus?
I mean, that is an absolute contradiction, Xolani, and that is exactly another example of what we want to put before the country, to show that perhaps right now we are not even clear ourselves of those plans. And that is exactly the concern. I mean, you can't say that individuals above the age of 60 are most vulnerable, as we are told, and yet you are even making such pronouncements. And we are saying that as a union, we are always ready to be part of the solution. We've got the innovative ideas that we have put before the Department of Basic Education. We are saying just open up the space, engage us as a union. We are your workers, and after all, we will be in the front line of dealing and mitigating whatever may emerge from the schooling system as a result of the pandemic.
Xolani Fakude, thanks indeed for speaking to us. He is a representative of Teacher Union, Sadtu.